Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Gaze here. I want to bring you guys a video about Hearthstone. So there's a new game mode that kind of came out. I think it came back a couple weeks ago, but I'm sure you've all seen it. It's called, Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and it's really, really good. It's kind of like your basic auto chess gameplay. You've seen it in League of Legends, you've seen it in Smite, you've seen it. It's becoming super, super popular right now. But that being said, I kind of like doing tier list videos, so I played this game mode and I also like this game, so we're going to go ahead and make a tier list video on all the heroes that are out that we know of. So far there's quite a few of them, 28 I want to think, is it 20 or 26? I'm kind of a forehead, so I'm not sure. I'll get that number when we actually go in, but run it. Right, so first off we have the Curator. So the Curator is kind of neat. He basically has a simple but really effective ability. He makes a 1/1 Mulligan. I may butcher that name, I'm sorry. But it's treated as everything on board, just like the Nightmare counterpart. It's great for any deck, really. The downside is that's kind of all it is. It's a passive hero, so you don't get to use it later on. It can be super, super strong, but it just doesn't have any late game scaling or anything like that, unless you're pumping it specifically or using it for something else. So it's good to have an option for battle cries early on, but after that it kind of falls off, so it's just kind of like almost a heroless power at first. So it's great early game, but it's really not. I feel like there's just a lot of other better options, so we'll put him in low B for now. He might be top C, we'll see. But anywho, next we have Sindragosa, which is an awesome ice dragon. She's pretty interesting, actually. So basically she can freeze all of the things in the shop. I guess everyone can freeze, but if they're left that way for the next turn, they all get +1/+1. And it can be super lethal when you get like multi-cards that you want, and you just want to like buff all of them, then combine them all later. It's pretty good. So we're actually going to put her in A tier. I think it makes it particularly strong in early game, just because you can cycle through the shops on turn 1, and then once you get whatever you plan on making for your deck or whatever direction you want to go, you can freeze it and you'll already have an advantage on turn 2, which is pretty nice. So she's in a good spot. Next we have Queen Wagtoggle. She can basically spend 1 gold to grant 1 health to any of all types of creatures. So basically, like your beasts, your mechs, your Murlocs, or whatever, basic archetypes for decks. And it gives them all 1 health. So if you have a multi-card deck, that's fantastic. It's especially strong with like the Nightmare amalgams, but other than that, I don't really care too much for her. I'm gonna put her in C tier. I personally don't care. I know it can be strong in some like multi-theme decks, but multi-theme decks I feel like are not as good as they could be. They're not weak, but they could be better, I suppose. I think going 1 class grants you better, better outcomes. Moving on, we have Ragnaros. So, Ragnaros can pay 2 gold and deal 8 damage to 2 random minions. So it's pretty strong. Like, he pretty much just throws nukes, which is okay. It's really good at popping Divine Shield, or maybe even hitting some lobies that are hiding behind taunts. It's just really reliant on RNG, and I'm not really about that personally, because you're relying on the RNG to hit the target that you want to hit out of 2 out of a 6 board chance, so you're only getting like around like 1/4 or 1/3 chance to land on what you want. I don't really like that. So sorry, 1/3. So I'm not a big fan. It can be strong, but it kind of falls off pretty hard. So we're gonna put him above the Alchemist, because you can keep using it, but definitely, it's in B tier. We'll put it in B tier. Next, we have good old-fashioned Dancing Daryl. So DD here can sell a minion and grant 2 minions in Bob's shop currently +1/+1, which is really strong early game. It's like really strong in the early game, really. Late game, it definitely falls off because you can't really reliably hit what you want as easily comparatively to like every time you upgrade the shop, you get another selection in the shop. So eventually you start flipping over 5 cards at a time, and you're only giving 2 of them 1/1. The chance of it hitting yours is also going to start diminishing. So he's pretty good. He's definitely great in a Murloc archetype would be the best for him, and I'd probably say Battle Cry would be his target audience. So you can pop their effects, sell, buff, and that's like 99% of Murlocs really. So he does make you use your head a little bit, and that's kind of the most rewarding gameplay for me. So we're gonna put him above. We're gonna put him above Ragnaros because his is more consistent. Maybe no, it's fine. Not consistent's the wrong word there. More reliable is what I should say. It's not more consistent, but it's more reliable because you're just adding flat health, which is nice. And they both provide. I mean, they're both kind of like neck and neck. Just to be honest. I am going to absolutely butcher this name because. So next we have Alakazam. I hope that was right. But basically he can summon a secret, or he can discover a secret, so you get to basically select from 3 secrets that drop, and you get to add them to your hand. And you can play it for free, it doesn't cost anything. However, what kind of sucks about this is I feel like it's not... The secrets that are in the game, they don't put as, I don't know, it's just not as effective as some that they could choose. I want to put them in C tier for now. Honestly, I'm going to put them above Worm Toggle, and the only reason why is because you can get Ice Block. You can only get it one time, but Ice Block's nice because you do get like a get out of jail free card, but like other than that, the rest of the secrets are really not that good. They have like Avenge, they have like other stuff that like buffs or gives Divine Shield. Like it's not that useful. Like it has some that say like Revive, but it like revives with 1 health or whatever. I think it's called Avenge or maybe Eye for an Eye. They don't have Eye for an Eye, but there's just some other options I feel like they could pick. Like they could put like Fire Trap would be nice, or like, you know, or Frost Trap would be pretty cool if you could just like banish 1 target. That would be really, really neat. But there's just other things they could definitely do with it. Next we have Shudder Walk. Okay, so this guy makes your first Battle Cry you activate after paying 2 happen twice. So what should you be running with this guy? Say it with me now, of course, Pogo Hoppers. No, but if you can pull it off, it's actually super fun to do. Like, I've done it before and I got, like, Pogo Hoppers up to an ungodly amount of numbers. But just for funsies, I didn't win the game, but it was just hilarious. However, this guy is no joke, though. Late game, like, late game, he gets really, really strong. If you can survive the late game, he is actually really, really brutal because he can just Battle Cry and just get his monsters up to stupid levels. I find what's really effective on him, oh, he's not an S tier. What I find really effective on him is that you can actually go a full taunt team with him, and you start getting those shaman shields, and they'll bring out and they'll basically give all your taunts 2/2, and that's super, super strong. Excuse me. You're gonna have to go ahead and put him above the Alchemist because he's got some play. He's at least got a direction. We'll put him. You know what? I like him above both these. Personally, I just think he's better. More reliable. But it's pretty crazy because you start getting those taunts out, and if you upgrade it, you get a 4/4 to all your team times 2. So you're just giving all your taunts 8/8s, which is pretty phenomenal. You can get pretty huge off that. But moving on, we have good old-fashioned Gallywix. So Gallywix has an interesting skill. I'm gonna put him at A. No, I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I honestly don't win that much with him. If I was better with him, I'm sure I'd respect him a lot more. However, with Gallywix, you can basically spend 2 gold to get a gold coin. So you spend 2 gold and you get a gold coin that says, you know, it goes to your hand. When you activate this card, it gives you a coin. So you basically can like spend gold now for more gold later, kind of like investing. Or maybe it's 1 gold. It's either 1 or 2 gold, but either or, you pay it. So then, like, next turn, you can start to win some play. So if you invest correctly with him, you can be really, really good. And he does add, like, I do like him because he adds, like, consistency and makes you use your brain just a little bit better. Because it kind of gives you more consistency because you're flipping for RNG. It kind of gives you those extra flips to kind of even stuff out. Next, we have Pyramid. So Pyramid can grant a minion 2 health, and it's strong early game. Basically, when you have creatures that like lack health, like Micro Machine and other, like, you know, those Murloc cards, stuff that just like needs the health to get by, he can be super, super strong. But once you get the late game, I kind of feel like his ability falls off and gets kind of meh, mainly because it becomes RNG. So like you can't select 2 gains of health, it just picks one for you. So I don't really like that kind of falling. I would be a put him down here. I'm gonna put him above actually, but I have him there because like once you have so many creatures on your field, you're putting 2s on things that just don't need 2s. If you could literally select with them, it would easily move him from C tier to A tier, like with the snap firm, like easy. But since you can't select, it just makes it that much worse, I suppose. So next we have Sir Finley Murloc. Sorry, I'm bad at this. But so this chap here, he's actually one of my favorite skills, and not because it's necessarily good, but more or less it's fun to pop off with. It requires you to engage and think a little bit about what you're doing, but basically he can give you a random creature 1/1. However, here's the kicker: whenever you sell a minion, it actually resets the skill, so you can actually use it multiple times within one turn, resulting in huge battle cry decks and just Murlocs just for some crazy combinations you can do with him, which is super fun. And plus it just feels good to play him. So I'm putting him in A tier, maybe not on the flat basis that he's good, but I think character enjoyment's important when you play a game, because you can necessarily win with any of these people. It's plausible. So yes, he has some great plays you can go into, but like it's really rewarding when you play him, because if you play him, you'll learn how to play everyone else a lot better, because you start thinking outside the box, and I like that. That's like critical thinking is what you need to be good in these games. So he's pretty easy. I mean, not pretty easy, but he's pretty challenging, but really fun. So next we have Yog Sauron, and he's absolutely free. He's going to be my first S introduction in this list because he's so free. So he's hands down got the best turn 1 in the game. His skill can be reliable throughout the whole game, or at least relevant through the whole game. So it's basically you can pay 2 gold, pick a random minion in Bob's shop that's currently in it, grant it 1/1, then add it to your hand. Simple. It's just super simple, super effective. Yeah, it's got RNG to it, but it makes your turn 1 bonkers, because you can basically, on turn 1, you're going to spend that 2, grab their mana, then reset the shop, so you actually get to scout 1 higher than what you are, and you're guaranteed a buffed minion in your hand. So it's just kind of a win-win. Like, yeah, it's tough when you can't grab your creatures, but I mean, I don't know, it kind of, the off chance that you do grab them and stuff like that is really nice. He's pretty much easy peasy winion squeezy. So next we have Toki. So Toki is both a cutie and pretty fun to use. She can reset the shop for the cost of 2 gold, but it'll guarantee a minion that is 1 tier higher than the current tier in the shop. And this can be really strong when you're rushing those, beefcakes, but kind of falls hard when it gets into later game and stuff like that, just because it's not like, let's say you want an instant gratification, you activate the effect, you're netting a 5 gold cost to play 1 card, which is kind of rough, but she's definitely very useful. I'd put her above. It's an interesting one to be in. I'm going to temporarily put her in A for now. I might move her down to B, but we'll put her in low A, and we'll put her above. Both these are temporary right now. I don't know. I'll see once we get to the end how I feel. But next we have Professor Putracide, and this guy actually has a pretty neat move. So you can pay 2 gold and you can hyper buff the farthest left minion with a 10 attack for the round, and that's pretty okay on its own. However, if you have like cleave abilities like Cave Hydra or Foe Reaper 9000, or even if you have the Wind Fury target like Zap, it gets pretty crazy, because you can give that creature 10 and they're gonna snipe what they want to snipe, or if they cleave that 10, like let's say they already have like 14, now they're cleaving 24, it can get pretty good. So if you're given the right cards, he can be pretty high. So I'm gonna put him up into, not as high as him, but we're gonna put him up to high Bs, but that sounds about right. So next we have Patches the Pirate, and this one kind of falls in the same line with, I'm gonna put him actually below Ragnaros, but kind of falls in the same line with him. So he basically gets kind of Ragnaros' ability where you can fire a cannon. It costs 1 less for 1 gold, but it only does 3 damage to 2 targets. So basically the same thing, great for popping Divine Shield, good for getting those people that are hiding behind enemy lines, which is pretty good, or like taunts, which is good because most of those creatures have 3 health if you think about it. So it can be useful, but once again, RNG. And after round 5 or 6, like 3 damage is not going to kill a target, even if it hits something that doesn't have Divine Shield, like, it's going to be fine. So, especially like in the like deep late games, like things are going to be hitting at like sitting at like 24, 34, like 44 health. Like, you're not going to slap anything. So the Lich King. So this guy's actually so dope. You can actually revive the farthest right minion, which is super unique when it dies, and it's actually kind of goat, to be honest. I'm putting him actually in high A tier because I think he's super underused. So basically, you can put your pingers on the far right side. Like by pingers, I mean like your buffers. You have like, you know, if you want to have the legendary that revives things that makes death rattles go off twice, or Baron. You can have your jugglers on the right side. You can have your you know, your micro, or not your micro bots, but your junk bots, your hyenas. Basically your engine, whatever powers your deck, causes it to do what it needs to do. You can put those on the right side, and that saves them for 1 turn. So if you need that core piece in your engine for your deck to work, you can pretty much put like a little get out of jail free card on them in case they run someone like Ragnaros, Patches the Pirate, or if they have something that like directs you like a cleave or some sort. You can kind of help mitigate that and potentially still win the match. So I think he's super underutilized, and it's pretty great. Not to mention, you can put other useful minions there too. Like, let's say you have a minion that has like, I'm thinking of like the boom bots or whatever. When they die, they deal like 4 damage twice or whatever. So you can put those on the far right side, and once they pop off, it comes back, so it gets to pop off again. So, you know, it's kind of just depends on what you want. But I think that's a pretty nice spot. Next, we have the Rat King. So the Rat King is going to also be in the S tier as well, because Rat King is just really, really good and super consistent. So his trait is, it's a passive trait, but he basically makes any minion you buy of a particular archetype gain 1, 2. So 1 health, 1 damage, 2 health. Every turn. And it's a different archetype every turn, so it cycles through them. However, it's the fact that it just stays there. So the more you buy of that archetype, the stronger they get. So honestly, it's great. You can pick up any type of thing and go with him, because he'll eventually cycle through it to assist you, which is awesome. It kind of makes RNG kind of work for you, and it's kind of done right, because, you know, he keeps you on your toes, but it doesn't break you or make you, you know, if you don't get what you get, you lose. It's not how it's going to work with him. So you can run literally anything on him, and you'll be absolutely fine. Next, we have Lord Jaraxxus. So yes, he's strong. You can spend 2 gold to give all demons 1/1. So if you're not running demons, you're trolling. So he's pretty easy. We'll put him in high A tier. I'm not gonna put him in S tier because there's someone that does him better. So next we have Patchwork. Patchwork's an S tier only because of how safe he is. So probably the safest pick easily in the game. His hero power is just a passive that makes him a sponge. He basically starts with 60 health instead of the traditional 40, which is 20 more for those of you who are math geniuses, that you can soak up, and it's pretty great. If you're running some self-damage demons too, like let's say you're running like, you know, a few of those that deal damage to you to make them stronger, there's a few with those outcomes, it's great. You can get that extra 20 health to spend into that. And not to mention, the reason why I say he's so safe is because he starts off with 60 health, so even if you lose every battle, like, you're almost guaranteed being in the top 4, just because you have so much raw health. You have to get beat 2 extra times to basically be beat as fast as other people, so he's a pretty safe pick. So next we have Bartendertron. I said Tenderton. So this guy has a passive that makes upgrading the tavern cost 1 less, and it's pretty strong, to be honest. It gives you access to higher level stuff before your opponents do, and you get kind of the first pick of the limited pool. So he's going to be actually probably one of the highest in A tier, if not S tier. Like, he's either high S tier or super low high A tier, super low S tier. So we'll put him down to A for now. So next up we have the Maleficent Mana Storm. So absolutely easily a top 4. It's almost guaranteed. If not, you're going to take the W for the game. But her passive basically grants all mechs that appear in the shop to have 1 health and 1 damage, like all of them that are in the shop, and it's free. It's a passive. So unless your IQ is actually transcendent, you should be going mechs, because you're just gonna win the game. So she's an S tier, if not one of the highest S tiers. I'd put her up in the very high S tier. But anyways, moving on. So next we have AFK. So AFK is actually really strong. So she skips her first 2 turns, which sounds like a bad idea, but in turn for skipping her first 2 or being AFK, you actually discover 2 minions, one of them being tier 3 and one of them being tier 4. And basically, that's kind of bonkers in itself. AFK is going to definitely go into S tier because you can almost win a game off that if you're given the right thing. So yes, you're given RNG, but you're also giving a chance of RNG times, like, basically 3 for each of those picks. But you're going to be kind of ahead of the curve already because you're going to have tier 3 and 4. And even after skipping your first 2 turns, the maximum damage you can take is 8. And that's if someone has like a stack, like they got like battle cries both times and like has the Alchemist with them. Basically the Curator's ability, you can take 8 damage at maximum, so it's fine not doing your first 2 turns. You're not gonna be broken 5 ever. And then you get the huge advantage. You can start building a deck around whatever you get, which is really, really strong. So AFK is good. I like her. So next we have Elise Starseeker. So she's pretty good as well. She can basically discover a card every time she upgrades the Tavern, and that's super good. However, it kind of costs 3, which is super, it's a lot of money to be honest. So it's pretty nice. It's good though because every time you upgrade, you do get +3 options for in the Tavern. So she's going to be up here in A tier as well. But I just don't like the cost is what gets me with it. Like you have to basically spend, so you got to upgrade the shop, which is going to take anywhere from like obviously 1 to like 7, and you also have to pay 3 to get whatever card you get to summon it. So it's pretty costly, but it is effective. So she's still up there. I think she has a pretty high win rate as well. So next we have George here. So George is also really strong. He's gonna go into A tier. Pretty high up in there as well, just because he can be an absolute nightmare late game. So basically his hero is the most expensive in the game so far, and it simply just grants a minion of your choice Divine Shield with 4 gold costs, and eventually you'll if you survive to the end game, you'll have a whole board of Divine Shields, and that's just super headache unless you're going up against another character on this list, which we'll get to later. But if not, if he's the only one on the board and there's no other options, like he's gonna make it top 4, if not win the game, because Divine Shield could be crazy, especially if it has that legendary that like per Divine Shield gets like +4. No, you get just +4 attack. It's crazy. So yeah, he's pretty good. Bran is easily an S tier. So Bran's really strong. He's probably one of the strongest on the list, especially for flexibility. Just overall, he has a passive that every time you cast a battle cry, a random minion gets 1/1, and this is super strong in the late half of the game because when it just becomes buffing nonsense, you'll top with him almost 100% of the time, just because you get those battle cries, you summon them out, you sell them, battle cry, sell them out, battle cry, sell them out. So now you're not only pumping all your creatures with your battle cry flat abilities, you're also giving your own passive abilities, also giving them an extra 1/1. So you can just get those numbers so high and inflated with him. So he's pretty good. So next we have King Mukla. So King Mukla is pretty good. I like him as well. I don't know if he's S tier good, but he's up there just because he can guarantee, like, he kind of falls in his own trap. He's very good if you get the right beast cards. If you don't get the beast cards, you're going to lose. So he basically, every time you buy a beast from the shop, you get a banana. Everyone knows what a banana does. Gives target beast 1/1, and it doesn't cost anything, which is great. It's a passive, and you can get those key cards like your hyena or your cave hydras up pretty high. So we'll put him, he's consistent enough to be probably second on the A tier. And yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So next we have Lich Baziahal. So she's really tricky. I probably messed that name up. She's going to be another addition to the C tier, but much like, kind of like a worse Gallywix, I guess, or maybe a better one for some aspect, but she can basically get free gold. So she can make a gold coin for the cost at 3 health. So it's super strong. You can get nice gold advantage, but I also see a lot of people end up killing themselves with the same ability, because they'll greed up the gold, and then they'll be like, oh, I have like 10 health left, and I lost to like 1 legendary, and now I'm down to death. So she's pretty tough. She can be good if used properly, so I'll put her above. I'll put her probably the highest. She can be queen of C tier because you can still do things with her. It just takes a lot of work. So next we have, oh my gosh, Nefarian, which is, he's low-key kind of a gym. I'm gonna be honest. So I'm gonna put him, just because he hard counters, I'm gonna put him above George, just because he hard counters George. But basically Nefarian is low-key, I think he's a little bit underrated. People say he's not that good because he only deals 1 damage from his power, which kind of seems low. But at the cost of 1, it's low-key the best part about him, because his power does damage to all enemies at the start of combat, and it only does 1 damage. But if you think about it, that also removes every single divine shield on the enemy team, which a lot of people start stacking divine shields later on in the game. So it's really important that you remove those so they can't block their heavy hitters. So you can actually get there and, you know, get through to their line. So he's got a really, really strong ability. Like, if not, I'm not even put him above King Mukla, to be honest. He's good. Like, he's really good. Yeah, he's pretty good. So yeah, I think that's my list. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. We have Giant Fin, of course. Giant Fin's down at the bottom. He's actually a meme. So he either wins the game or dies the very first of the game. It all depends on if he gets Murlocs, and good Murlocs at that. His hero skill basically gives all minions Death Rattle, and that they all summon Murlocs when they die, which sounds super strong, and it'd be really good if you have Tide Fins that can benefit off this, because it's considered a summon. But if you don't have those, then Murlocs are like the worst things to get as minions, unless you get one. None of them, they only give each other toxic. None of them have toxic, so they're literally worthless to get. You're not going to get anything above like 3. So he's not that good, to be honest. I need to rework him a little bit. Look at him just, you know, from a different angle and see how they can approach him. Because, like, honestly, the Murloc choices with, you know, with your, you've got the choices that are just so much better. Like, you've got, you know, Sir over here, and you've got Daryl around here as well. Like, it's just too good. So yeah, that's my list, guys. But anyways, I hope you guys like what you saw. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts on, I guess, my thoughts. But I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Particularly Wednesday, I stream card games like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering if you like this type of content. But anyways, as always, you're beautiful saplings, and I want you guys to take it easy, okay? Bye!